Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Good evening. Tonight we are going to talk about something fun, a number of things that are fun, in fact, because we're not going to do the usual thing of bitching about this, that, and the other thing, whining about the left, complaining about how this or that or the other thing are not the way we think they should be. The world isn't the way that we think it should be. So what's the point? What do we do about it? That's what we have to look at. That's what we have to think about. Now, when you look at all the different things that are going on, all the cultural war that's going on, it can be a bit overwhelming, right? Unknown Sailor says that Gabbot got dropped by Visa today. And these sort of things are all but inevitable, right? But the important thing is to remember that old, possibly mythical Chinese adage about the journey of 1,000 leagues beginning with a single step. We didn't get here because the other side was lamenting the fact that they lived in a Christian society where Western civilization effectively ruled the world. They took one step at a time, and now they're at the point where they've actually managed to successfully sabotage Western civilization in a significant part of the United States, Europe, etc., etc. Now, we can sit and whine. We can sit and wring our hands. We can complain about the left. We can talk about how Dems are the real racists. We can talk about how ironic it is that more white people are actually shot by the police than blacks, etc., etc. That's not going to get you anywhere. Now you can also say, we need to go to war and start running around and, behaving like Antifa and so forth. And or you can act like this obvious troll here. Dude, it's game over. Left is too strong, too organized. Maybe this is how evolution wants it. The point is that it is nowhere nearly as bad as you think. And they're nowhere nearly as powerful as they want you to think. That's why they're trying to demoralize you. And the thing is, they have no creative capability. All they can do is destroy. All they can do is mimic. All they can do is pervert and invert. Think about all the SJWs who have tried to work on this sort of stuff, and none of them's come anywhere close to C.S. Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia. No one's even close to Tolkien and the enduring power of the tales of Middle-earth. So, what do? We build. We keep moving forward. I'm going to address a couple things here that a lot of people get confused about, but I want to point out something. Unauthorized a year and a half ago didn't exist. Now it's become so well regarded that people are coming to us on a regular basis asking us if they can be a part of it. And things like happen to Gab with Visa and stuff, we're aware of that stuff. We're already preparing to deal with that sort of thing. And I mean, not just preparing, we're taking at least 3, possibly 4 different approaches to addressing a problem that we don't even have yet. And so the thing to do is just keep building, just keep moving forward. And I have to say thank you to a lot of the people who were listening to Owen's stream the other night, because I actually called Owen up today to say, what on earth happened? He said, what? I said, we had so many new subscribers to Unauthorized that I was wondering what you did, what happened? And so, who would have thought a year ago that we would be in that position when everybody was worrying about, oh no, kicked off of YouTube, kicked off of Podbean, whatever shall we do? What we'll do, we'll build. And people will say, well, why are you wasting your time on stupid stuff like comics? I just announced today that very soon, probably on Monday, we're going to be launching yet another webtoon. And people quite reasonably, I think, in my opinion, say, why on earth are you wasting your time putting these things up on webtoons? I mean, yeah, okay, I understand that you had to put these comics out somehow because you crowdfunded them, so they're already paid for and so forth. But what's the point? Why bother? And the answer is very, very simple. All you have to look at is the number of people that are seeing them. Read the comments. Read the comments and see how people are reacting to them. The SJWs are acting exactly how you would think. But it is making a lot of people think. It's making a lot of people recognize the difference between the horrific, relentlessly terrible crap that's being put out there by DC, by Marvel, by all of these independents who are taking their lead from those established comics vendors. And I looked it up, and the number of people that have seen Hypergamouse and Alt Hero and Quantum Mortis on webtoons is more than twice as many as bought the second best-selling comic before the Diamond distribution crisis. More people are seeing it than are reading Batman. And this stuff is just getting going. This stuff is minor compared to some of the other things that are more established on there, right? Let me show you, for example, what's coming on Monday. And this is, I finally named it, but this is the thing we talked about with, those of you who were on Social Galactic will know what it is. We were talking about it as Vampire Lords, and I'll explain why it was created and the significance of it once I show you this stuff. So, the name of it is Midnight's War. In the year 8466 of the Cainite calendar, in the aftermath of a catastrophic economic crisis, the vampire tribes came out of the shadows for the first time in more than 2,600 years and revealed themselves to humanity. Now I'm going to cut this short, just so you understand. I'm leaving some stuff out. A new world order was established. The Great Concord of Gomorrah was created to secure the rights and duties of man and vampire alike. The global monetary system was replaced by a new currency backed by human blood, and a global tax was introduced to ensure humanity's overlords that their eternal thirst would never again go unslaked. Drawing inspiration from the Templars and Hospitallers of the Middle Ages, 12 young men joined together in a new military order named the Knights of St. Michael and of the Catacombs of Rome. Armed with little more than their faith and blood that is poison to their enemies, the Knights of St. Michael wage a desperate war against the vampire lords of the midnight world. And this is what it actually looks like. This is Midnight's War, Knights in Shadow. That's the cover, of course. And then this is the first page. And so it's really first-rate material. It's actually much better, much better than the average stuff coming out of DC and coming out of Marvel these days. Now here's where it gets interesting, because I understand if people are saying, well, okay, fine and all, you've got some nice high quality comic stuff there. What's the point? Why are you doing it? Well, the answer is pretty, and especially people are wondering, well, why would you do something like this while you're still in the middle of producing Avalon and Alt Hero and Alt Hero Q, the stuff for the crowdfunding, all of which is in development. I mean, Chuck is already done with all 12 issues of Avalon. He's already done with all 6 issues of Alt Hero Q. It's just tough for the illustrators to keep up. But there's no reason for us to stop just because the illustrators have to keep up. Rebels Run is I mean, that's the movie people. That's not we've done our part there. But so here's the thing. I was watching Blade with my wife, and I was just thinking, there are certain things about vampire lore that no one has ever really explained very well. And so I realized that there was a very, very interesting story there explaining why vampires fear the cross, why vampires react so negatively with fear and disgust to Christians and Christianity. And so what occurred to me was that reaction of fear and disgust is actually fairly similar and fairly common to, it's fairly similar to how people commonly react to poison. And so I thought, okay, so the life is in the blood, eternal life is in the blood. And I thought about transubstantiation. I realized, well, it would make sense that they always reacted so negatively to crosses if they believed that crosses represented the fact that the victims who were wearing it were poisonous to them. And so anyhow, I went and talked to a couple of the people in the film business that we've been working with, and they absolutely loved the idea. But they said, hey, it's been so easy for us to talk to different people that, both on the production side, on the financing side. It's been so easy to pitch them and convince them how good this stuff is because we have the comics to point to. People who make movies tend to be very visual. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, if you send them a 900-page fantasy novel, they're not going to read it no matter how well it's been reviewed, no matter how good people say it is. And so anyhow, I thought, okay, we're not going to wait on this. We're not going to crowdfund this. We're just going to dive in and take our best shot. And what was really interesting was after the movie folks saw the early stuff, after they saw the first illustrations and the script and that sort of thing, they came back and said, we don't think that this is right for the various projects that we've been discussing. You know, the additional alt hero stuff, Avalon, etc., etc. I said, "Oh, really? That's too bad. I thought this was the one that you liked best." And they said, "Oh, absolutely, that's the one we like best. We think that it should be a bigger budget than we have plans for in any of this sort of thing." And so even these small projects that are appearing on Webtoons can have the potential to grow into, massive oaks, significant structures in the cultural war that directly compete with and can defeat the cultural weapons of our enemies. And so this is just one example, one small example of something that's going to be appearing for free, on the site, and it's it's an approach that worked before. It will work for us too. The secret is that we have to be not just as good, we have to be better. And what you can see is that's what we're working towards. Relentlessly. Every day. And it's not just me. It's not just the legend Chuck Dixon. I mean, it's a whole group of people. And you can see how much better we've gotten from those first issues of Quantum Mortis and Alt Hero. So let me, I forgot to tell everyone to hold off on the super chat, so I better address them before we continue. Higgs, welcome to Bronze Pack. Tim McClymont says, "Our voices matter. Politicians want to get reelected. Write your local, state, and federal officials. Push our agenda to trump@whitehouse.com/contact. Super chat won't allow links." Well, frankly, I don't think we're going to vote our way out of this. But we have to keep pushing anyhow. I'm not against any of that. I'm just saying I wouldn't waste too much time on the professional political world, because that's very corrupted by money. Just today, or just yesterday, the list came out of all the supposed conservatives who are being bankrolled by Google. Frauds and gatekeepers, the lot of them. Jan says, "Dear Dark Lord, question from a confused immigrant. What's more likely? A race war in the UK or a US-Russian war in Poland?" A race war in the UK, no question. People in the country in the UK are getting very, very, very angry. As a Christian, do you think it's wrong to work for a big tech company? Depends what you do. Are you doing anything that's unethical? Are you doing anything that's wrong? I mean, in the world, but not of it. Employed by Google, but not a Googler. Tim McClymont says, "Hi Vox, thanks for fighting the good fight. I don't have time to keep up with much, so I'll ask here, any update on Sea of Skulls hardback?" None whatsoever. I no longer talk about delivery dates. There's no point in talking about them. So, as with all things, it will be ready when it's ready. No offense, but it's just I'm just not going to give an answer anymore, because it just seems to create the inevitable. But you said, okay, well, I've had too many people do the "but you said" thing, and so I'm just not doing it. I'm just not going to say anymore. Matt Connolly says, "How about a comic villain that is a normal guy, but then was hit by gamma radiation? When he becomes triggered, he turns into a huge douche." Yeah, I think that would be a long way to go for a single joke about gamma. Bane Bear, thank you. Send some lemons. Let's see here. And speaking of deadlines or deadline, we have something that we just got done yesterday. Actually, first I'll show you. This is something that I can't wait to be able to put together in my own library. But those of you who are familiar with the Castalia library will know what that is. Those are the first two Castalia library books and the first Libraria. Well, actually, technically it's the second Libraria Castalia book, but it's the first one that was actually produced. So the purple isn't quite as deep purple as we'd intended. We're still trying to figure out what happened there, but it looks great. I'm not complaining at all. So that's the missionaries, the meditations, and of course the goatskin meditations. It was kind of funny because we haven't been able to ship them to the international customers yet, or the international subscribers yet, and it was really kind of funny because the person who handles the subscriptions and keeps track of all the stuff and handles the emails, she was discussing the fact that the books couldn't get to the UK, and the person said, "Take your time. I figure by the time they open up to the USPS and they can send the books out to me, they're probably going to be worth over $1,000 a piece," which is entirely possible at this point. So it's and already it's basically impossible to get the first book. And we're not. I think we've got maybe, even though we've increased the number that we're producing, I think there's maybe 100 of the fourth book left. Constantine says, "You've said Castalia Library will also be doing Dante's Divine Comedy." That's correct. We actually are just finishing up the interior next week. Which translation do we choose? We chose the Longfellow. It's my opinion and the opinion of the production editor that the Longfellow translation is the best. I mean, as you know, I speak Italian. I'm not the only one who speaks Italian, and it was unanimous. Nobody had really any interest in any of the other translations. Dances with Logos says Castalia Library was the best birthday present ever. It is actually pretty good. And then this is something I'm pleased to be able to show you. So this is going to be book 3. In fact, Jay just asked about it. Do you have any images for the Awaken the Nightland cover we can see? This is the Awaken the Nightland cover, and you notice it's going to be a little bit different because it is not, the library is not going to have the gold. We decided to go with the silver because we think that it is it's better suited to the theme. So it's a very black, it's a very dark gray black leather, and so we decided that we would go with the silver. And let me see if I can find I think I can find the Libraria version. Yeah, the whole moonlight silver thing is exactly what we wanted to go for. Let me see here. Maybe if I go to icons, I can tell what they are. Yeah, here we go. So this is the Libraria version, and the Libraria, of course, is the goatskin. So we went with sort of a midnight blue that will have we thought would go nicely with the gold. And so I think that Yeah, we didn't want to go gold and blue, obviously, when we'd gone purple and gold with the meditations. But and I'm gonna find. I think I just found. I think we have a. I can show you one of the interior. We've got original interior art that might be of some interest here. I'll show you the title page then. I think this is the title page. Oh no, this is not the title page. This is just one. This is one of the interior illustrations. All original, and we've got 4 or 5 different original, actually 4 illustrations, plus a title page. Each illustration relating to the theme of the story from that section. So, anyhow, it's going to be a really beautiful book, like the other 2, and that's the mission. So, and this is just what one small group of people can do. There's all kinds of other stuff. In fact, if you want, I've been given permission to give a little taste of something that we did over the whole lockdown period, and it's just a little bit of music. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm under specific orders not to do so because the mix isn't finished yet. I'll just say that it is a timely parody of a song that's out there. So if anybody wants to hear a little bit of that, a very few of you might actually recognize it, but if it's of any interest, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, we'll focus on the questions. Like Legionnaire Bear says, Vox, I'm buying a home on 13 acres in a homogeneous area. That sounds fantastic. My funds are low, but I wanted to thank you and BB for your guidance. Uprooting your family is hard, but where they grow is more important. Thanks. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. You're absolutely doing the right thing. And you've got to think about where you're going to grow. Where are you going to plant your roots? So, okay, we got a few folks that want to hear it, so we'll go ahead. This is just a little bit from the end, okay? So, let me see if I can do this here. Okay, I'm going to turn my camera off for a second while I figure this out. So, we're not playing the whole track, just to be clear. Just a little bit, so you can hear some of the stuff towards the end. Yeah, when you hear the whole thing, you'll understand why I was just doing a little bit. Hang on here. Okay. That should do that there. Now I have to make sure that you can actually hear it, so you need to add a source, I think, or add a window. Okay, there we go. And then make sure we can turn it on. Right. Go ahead and let me know if you can hear this. anyhow, that's so somebody knows what it is. Yep. No, I think I think, like I said, it's a timely thing. No, it's not a copy paste track at all. It's just let's call it a parody cover. And in fact, the I guarantee it's going to be funny when we put that out. Lady Gaga. So I don't know what that Winamp thing was that it grabbed from the screen capture, because it doesn't. I've never seen that using it. So, but yeah, no, there's nothing original about that. Just to be clear, other than the lyrics and so forth. No, the new Android UATV app is not working. We haven't even begun working on it yet. So, anyhow, yeah, I mean, those of you who know Ghost, you know exactly what it is, and you can probably even guess what the parody is. But anyhow, what are your thoughts on speaking in tongues? Is it real or churchy and posturing? I think that it can be real, but I think that most of it is churchy and posturing. So, it's like a lot of things. You see these phenomena that people want to believe in, and they want to force. And you even end up with some bizarre heresies where people are saying, "Well, you're not truly saved until and unless you speak in tongues, and here we're just gonna move your mouth and try to talk you into making weird noises so that you can say that you've spoken in tongues and therefore saved according to whatever whatever metric it is that they believe in. It's just nuts. I don't really have any thoughts on the whole Last of Us 2 disaster. That was something that was known. We all knew it was coming. The SJWs took it over, wore it like a skin suit, and have destroyed the franchise, just like they've destroyed many a franchise before. So, but it's not for us to understand what is the point of praising God. We don't need to understand what the point of speaking in tongues is, but we do know that if people are pushing it, then it's probably fake, because there's an awful lot of stuff that is fake in the so-called Christian churches these days. We'll do it. We'll do a whole Darkstream about it at some point in time. But the idea that Jesus was a refugee and that racism is a sin and all this kind of stuff. I mean, these things are complete nonsense. It's totally false. And the thing is, we were warned that people were going to infiltrate the church, and we're going to destroy it to as much as possible, and that lots of people are going to be deceived. You know, a lot of Christians are deceived. A lot of people are deceived about Christianity. I find it very difficult to blame the irreligious nationalist right that hates the people they call Christ cucks, because what they see is churchians doing evil in the name of Christ. You know, but racism is not a sin as per the Christian religion or as per the Bible. Racism is a sin of the secular false religion. It's not a sin. I don't address questions about, I don't have thoughts about people. And I certainly don't address or share my thoughts about them, because I'm not into the inevitable internet drama that stems from the whole, you know, Becky, did you hear what Veronica said about Susie? It's there's no point in that sort of thing. Bane Bear said, I'm in California, churches are conquered here. Well, but again, churches are institutions. The church, the real church, is people. It's not the institutions. It's not dogma. You know, it's about people who worship Jesus Christ to the best of their ability and who seek the truth. You know, if you want to choose a good Christian church, talk to the pastors and find out whether they speak the truth or whether they dissemble and lie. If they dissemble, if they lie, if they invert, if they follow the world rather than the Bible, rather than Jesus Christ, then don't go there. You know, absolutely don't go there. You know, racism is nothing more than a thought crime. It's an attempt to police what you think. It's even an attempt to police instinctive reactions that you can't possibly help. They're talking about how children are racist and animals are racist, and there's systemic racism built into the society. Well, how can anyone be held accountable? How can it be a sin if those things can be racist? And no, I can pretty much guarantee that no legal legion individuals are interested in issues relating to not wearing masks. That's just not a serious issue. If they tell you to put on a mask, put on a mask. How difficult is it? You know, if they tell you to wear rubber gloves, you wear rubber gloves. If they tell you to wear a mask, wear a mask. It's not difficult. There's no moral virtue in refusing to wear, you know, the Burger King uniform when you work at Burger King. So, you know, the stuff that they're concerned about is, you know, people getting deplatformed. Thought crime. You know, that's not what you're talking about there. Patrick McDonald says, do you think there will be any sizable backlash from American blacks once BLM's Marxist nature becomes more apparent? No, there'll be none whatsoever. You're still thinking about things in a ideological framework, and the world has moved beyond that. It's not about ideology anymore. It's about, you know, tribalism and nationalism now. How do we respond to accusations of racism? Trying to deny it or challenge it concedes the ground to them. Total indifference. I literally don't care when people say, well, isn't that racist? So what? You know, isn't that Trotskyite? Isn't that utilitarian? Who cares? It's irrelevant. How are you celebrating Juneteenth? By completely ignoring it, the same way that I have for the last 50 years. Yeah, the whole point, think about this. Racism is not a dialectic topic. It's a rhetorical topic. So if it's a rhetorical topic, if it's a rhetorical tactic, what is the point? The point is to generate an emotional reaction. If you are denying it, if you are reacting to it in any way, then you are responding on the rhetorical level. I mean, the correct thing to do is to respond with something akin to, "Aren't you a pedophile?" You know, that's as meaningful. "Aren't you a Martian?" Carlos Blanco says, Vox, I'm in Massachusetts, and ever since the Floyd protests started, there are people at night constantly shooting fireworks. Have you heard of anything similar? I think there's a lot of that going on in Minneapolis. I think it's being used to cover, and confuse the systems that are used to detect gunshots. Deb Davis says, I can be described as a red supremacist, but none of my enemies bring that up because reasons. Actually, I'm not a red supremacist, but I am a red reservationist. I do believe very strongly that the American Indians and the American Indian tribes have the right to their own tribal lands, and they have the right to tell everybody out to keep off them. So, I'll look forward to Wikipedia correcting the entry on me and talking about that. It's really funny how they just desperately try to cling to anything that someone called you once. Well, somebody at Popular Mechanics who's never talked to Vox and never read anything by him once said that his views could be categorized this way. I mean, who cares? Who cares? Vox, what did your grandparents say about giants? I know what you're talking about. Watch out for the red-haired ones. Yeah, the interesting thing about the whole reparations is that, white society already pays reparations. They pay a massive amount. We've been over this. They pay a massive amount every year for the privilege of supporting black society. I don't know why that's not counted. I mean, even if they did, here's the thing, even if they did pay the reparations, wouldn't make any difference. I mean, that's a deal that should be taken immediately. Fine, let's pay reparations and be done with it. It's never going to happen. So, anyhow, that's all I've got for tonight, but I would encourage you, if you haven't subscribed to Unauthorized yet, you definitely should do so. There's going to be just more and more stuff coming, and also, follow the stuff on Webtoons. Support these little cultural offensives, because you never know how big they're going to become. I mean, think about this. These little comics that the Dread Oak community funded a year ago have already generated 180,000 views. it's going to be millions soon. And so just, stop worrying and stop wasting your time in complaints that are never going to accomplish anything. Just simple little stuff. When the new comics come out, give them a like. You might think, well, what does that matter? Well, if you get enough of them, then it goes up the chart. Alt Hero is normally around like number 7 in the top 10 on superheroes. If more people, if twice as many people would like it, it would probably be in the top 3 or 4. How many people are doing that? About 200. We could easily. I mean, there's 521 viewers here. If everybody who is watching here simply, went whenever the new comics came out, read it, liked it, that would make a difference. Small difference, yeah, but then, the first steps are always small. And that's the important thing to remember. The first step is always small. But that's when, that's how big things happen. Anthony notes that the last Alt Hero release already has 2 pages of comments. Yeah, where they're discussing the similarities between the BLM riots and the stuff portrayed in the comics. So, anyhow, that's all for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you at the next one. I'm Voxday. This is the Darkstream.